welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello, everybody. This is Evelyn Hershkowitz, Reader Services Librarian. This is the Turn the Page podcast, and I'm so excited today. We have with us Allison Pataki. Allison has a new book out called It Girl. Loved it, like I do all of her books. I'm just going to give a quick little introduction about Allison, and then we'll get started chatting with her. So, thank you, Allison, for joining us. Allison is the multiple New York Times best-selling author of 11 books of historical fiction, children's books, and memoir, including the instant bestseller, The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post, and the critically acclaimed Finding Margaret Fuller, which I loved both of them. Pataki's novels have been translated into more than 24 languages around the world and have been selected by The Today Show, Good Morning America, PBS Books, Entertainment Weekly, CBS News, People, Town and Country, and other outlets as favorites and featured titles. The former news writer and producer, Pataki has written for the New York Times, ABC News, the Huffington Post, USA Today, Fox News, and more. She graduated cum laude from Yale University with a major in English, a member of the Historical Novel Society, and a certified yoga instructor. Pataki is a sought-after public speaker and a frequent visitor to book clubs, reading groups, and other gatherings. She lives in New York with her husband and family. So let's welcome Allison Pataki. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So The It Girl came out a few weeks ago.
Yes.
It's gotten rave reviews. Booklist gave it a starred review. Kirkus, Library Reads, Publishers Weekly all gave it glowing reviews, and I'm giving it a glowing review also.
That means the most, and it's when the librarians agree or they support your work. That's when you know you're on the right direction, because the librarians are the tastemakers and the gatekeepers, I think.
Well,
they're like my
you.
celebrities.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thank you so much. Yes, I loved it. Our copies are all out right now. We can't keep it on the shelf. There's over 70 holds in overdrive for the book. So it's getting there to our audience. So everybody who's listening, it is available on overdrive as an audiobook and an ebook. So put your hold requests on, or honestly, Overdrive has something called cost per circ. So anybody who wants it right now can get it. If you're a Syosset resident, you could get the book right away on Overdrive. So
nice. Or we just have to get more in the system. We have to get more books circulating.
Exactly. Well, any of the Syosset residents, they could get it right away. So that's
great.
It's perfect. So why don't you tell everybody what this book is about?
Absolutely. So It Girl is my 11th book, and it is inspired by the life of Evelyn Nesbit, who was the first self-made female celebrity of pop culture, the first It Girl, the first girl to be given that title in mass media and pop culture, if you will. And Evelyn she was known as the Gibson Girl in her own time, but she really was this fascinating figure who totally enraptured the public imagination at the dawn of the 20th century. We're in New York City for this. It's the Teddy Roosevelt administration. Everything is new. There's photography and the automobile and electricity and all of these tectonic shifts that are happening. And Evelyn really skyrockets to fame as the face of this new generation, sort of out with the Gilded Age, out with Mrs. Astor and the 400, and bring in this new wave of young, beautiful girls who are like the muses and artists, models and Broadway stars. And so everything is going very nicely for Evelyn, so it would seem. It's kind of like an American Cinderella story until she gets pulled into this crazy murder mystery that becomes known as the crime of the century. And that becomes sort of the defining climactic moment of her life. And so this book is inspired by all the glamour, the grit, the drama, and the intrigue of that moment told through Evelyn's perspective.
Yeah, just fabulous story. Absolutely. I mean, you did take some literary license with the book. I mean, you didn't exactly follow her life totally, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that.
So this is a novel,
Okay.
so that it pulls the reader in, hopefully provides a really entertaining, immersive experience. It's spring break. Maybe this is your beach read. Maybe this is your poolside read for the summer. but also it's historical fiction. It's a novel inspired by the history, the true history. And I stick really close to the history through the whole plot of the book because it's so good, because the raw material is that juicy. So hopefully you won't only be entertained, but you'll also walk away learning a thing or two about the era, the characters, the true events. And then what I did for this book that was, interesting and unique for me, it was a departure, was I explored an ending as Evelyn might have liked to have write it for her to have written as I explored an ending as Evelyn might liked to have written it for herself based on what the true historical figure said and wrote. And so I lean into Evelyn's voice as the storyteller and as the choreographer of all the action because that is not what happened in the real life. Unfortunately, we're talking a century ago where a beautiful young woman's voice was gobbled up by the much more powerful men and the media and all of the larger forces that swirled around her. So I get to pull Evelyn sort of from the footnotes and the sidelines and put her center stage in this because I write fiction. I write historical fiction novels.
And you do it so well. Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
loved The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post. It is
Thank
one of
you.
my absolute favorite historical novels. I
Yeah,
just
well,
thought it
there's
was,
a lot of Long Island in that
yes, I
book.
guess
That was
that's
her
why.
home turf.
That's the only place I've really lived, except when I went away to college upstate. So I think that's why I probably love it so much. Because I mean,
Oh,
and I
I
went to Post to
know.
get my library degree. So,
Oh, so beautiful.
and that's
Yeah.
probably why I love that book so much. But this
Yes.
one I love too. I mean, absolutely loved it so much. I just thought it was fabulous.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Well, I had a lot of fun writing it. And, there's sometimes you just feel like you strike gold where the history is too good to be true. Like you could
Mhm.
not make this stuff up. I could not have made this up. Everything about this moment in time. We hear a lot about the Gilded Age lately. We hear a
Right.
lot about the Roaring Twenties, of course. This is like a transitional moment between those two. How do you get to the corseted fainting spells of the Gilded Age? How do you get from there to like the short hemlines and the fast dancing and the heady days of the Roaring Twenties? It was through this moment, and it was through tastemakers who were really breaking open a new mold. And that was Evelyn. Evelyn was the leading lady of this moment in time before Marilyn Monroe, before Taylor Swift, before Elizabeth Taylor, these other iconic showgirls. You had Evelyn Nesbit, and everyone needs to know her name.
I found this on Amazon.
Right?
Did you
You
say
have to read
this?
what that
It says
says.
before there was Taylor, Madonna, and Marilyn, there was Evelyn.
Exactly. And yet we don't know her name the way
Right.
we know about all those other ladies. But she really had to write her own story. This is a rags to riches tale where you have the glamour of Broadway and the electrifying moment in time where like lights are lighting up New York City and the iconic footprint of the city as we know it today is really being broken and built at this moment. Um, but she was really like the face of this era. She was the face of this new century, and she became such a huge deal. And her life story and the scandal and the drama was such a huge deal. It was an international story. It was such a big deal that Teddy Roosevelt, another Long Island boy, had to intervene and had to ask the papers to give Evelyn a break, to give it a rest, to stop hunting her. It was with this ferocity that's really like singular on the level of like Princess Diana's car wreck. Every once in a while there are these women who just become so huge that they become like epic and mythological.
Like Carolyn Bessette right now with what's
That's the
going on with
moment
Love
for
Story.
sure
Yeah.
now with the Kennedys would be another
Hmm.
example.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
crazy. How
Yeah.
did you come across her?
Yeah, so it was a really, really fun way of finding out because as a little girl, I will say my mother had images of the Gibson girls hanging on her bedroom wall. And they
Oh.
were these prints of these beautiful women with these piles of hair. If you think Gilded Age, Julian Fellowes series that's out right
Hmm.
now, think about those hairstyles. So there'd be my mom had these prints of these women with this luscious hair in these beautiful, sophisticated attire outfits. And they'd be doing things like washing their hands or like riding a bicycle through a park. And I was so intrigued by these images because nobody I knew dressed like that or did their hair like that to wash their hands or like, model soap products. But these were the images that were the iconic Gibson images of the 20th century. These girls were the first influencers, if you will, by modern jargon. And so fast forward many years, my mother makes a passing comment. And she says, you love writing about these women from history and lifting up these voices of these women from history. Well, the real Gibson girl had a fascinating story. And my mom just told me a few morsels of, love triangle, Stanford White, the architect, and her husband was a Pittsburgh, railroad tycoon, heir to millions. And the Gibson girl gets pulled into this triangle between these two men, and it ends with this scandalous murder on the rooftop of Madison Square Garden and in front of all of New York high society. And I was like, wait, there was a real Gibson girl and her life was full of this drama and all of this really, really meaningful, powerful history. I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I need to know more about this woman. And I was stunned and also a little bit delighted by the fact that I didn't know Evelyn's name. Nobody knows about her. Nobody knows about the full extent of her dramatic story. So it was my pleasure to rush and race to write it. Granted, it took me 6 years to do, but
Oh, okay.
here we are. We have It Girl. She's out in the world.
And what was your research like? Was it easy to find
Oh,
information?
yes and no. I'm thankful for the internet because the two most crucial sources for me were Evelyn's two memoirs.
Okay.
And I could find them, through rare books on eBay because they're not like widely in circulation.
Hmm.
But hearing her words and hearing her description of her life and everything from her humble origins in Pittsburgh to her rise to become a shop girl at Wanamaker's at the age of 13, lie about her age, and then get recruited from Wanamaker's to work as an artist's model in Philadelphia, and then to sort of shoot to superstardom as a Philadelphia model to then get recruited to New York City and get put on the stage in Broadway and work with the likes of Charles Gibson and James Carroll Beckwith and Frederick Church and sort of the who's who artists of the day. And then to get pulled into this rarefied world of the Astors and the Vanderbilts. And then she gets, thrust into this world of these men, these powerful men. She writes about all of that in her memoirs, unflinchingly, decades after the fact, with very, very um, compelling perspective. And she's a very kind of confounding narrator. And so it was interesting to sort of engage with her own voice, pick up her tone, and then just sort of think about her retelling of these moments. She talks about how she has to remove herself from her body in order to talk about what happened to her as a young girl and as a young woman, because if she didn't give herself that distance, she might not be able to do it. It would be too painful. And so there was a lot there. There was a lot to work with there.
Yeah, no. And the fact that she wrote two memoirs, and I don't think there were ghostwriters back in the day,
No,
right?
and they were at different moments too. So she has different perspective through the decades. She's not the 16-year-old girl writing about what happened to the 16-year-old girl.
Hmm.
So she has very mixed feelings about everything.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating story. It really, really is. Crazy what went on back in the day. What I found fascinating was how little she got paid
I
to sit
know.
and
Like always, yeah.
hours and hours of work because
An
they wouldn't
hour
have
a
a
day, a
photography
dollar
and
a day, a dollar a
yeah.
day. She was always basically on the verge of starvation because when her father passed away very suddenly, it was like the great trauma of her young life. And then her mother had a total collapse, physically, emotionally, mentally, everything. And Evelyn gets thrust into this role at the age of 13 of becoming not only parent to her own parent, but provider, breadwinner, caregiver for herself, her mother, and her younger brother.
Right.
And that motivates a lot of the decision making that sets Evelyn on the trajectory that leads her towards glamour and fame and superstardom, but also trauma and tragedy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very, very
Hmm.
tragic what went on. I see how wonderful you're doing social media these days.
Thank
I
you.
love all your Instagram
Everywhere.
posts and
Oh,
everything.
thank you. I mean, we've got to do the social media now, right? Because it's
Yeah.
that we can connect with readers in such an immediate way. So yes, follow me on Instagram, Allison Pataki, Allison with two L's, or Facebook, or my website, AllisonPataki.com. That's where I do all my like latest updates. That's where you'll hear news first and tour information and lots of fun stuff.
So what is your tour like for this book?
So I have been on the go. For the first few weeks, I was in a different place every night, and then I'd rush home, try and get home if I could to be there for my kids when they wake up in the morning for
Mhm.
school. So
Wow.
that was a little exhausting because I was burning the candle at both ends, definitely. Then I was on the road a little bit, flying, different state every day. Now I'm home. I'm doing a lot of virtual stuff this week, like speaking
Okay.
to you and
Okay.
podcasts and radio and Instagram. And then next week I hit the road again, and my next stop is Boston.
Oh, okay. So it's
hmm
not a bad flight. Or is it just a
No, I'll
drive away?
drive, and I'm bringing the
Okay.
kids with me for this one because we're going
Oh,
to do some, it's America 250. It's the
right.
250th of the American Revolution. And so we're going to make our way up to Boston by stopping at some of the America 250 sites. Like I want to take them to Plymouth Rock and see the Mayflower, and we'll do Paul Revere's ride,
Oh, that's so
reenact.
nice.
And
You should
so
go to
there,
the John F. Kennedy Museum. That's
yes.
great. I
Oh,
loved
my
it there.
eldest daughter is
Yeah.
obsessed with Kennedy history. She had to do a school project where she could be any woman from history, girl after my own heart. She got shot down for a few because they were too obscure. Sybil
Okay.
Ludington, an American war hero. I was very proud of her for wanting to do that. She wanted to be Marjorie Post. That
Oh.
was obscure because she wasn't allowed to read mom's books as a source. And so she settled on Jackie Kennedy. And so she became a Jackie Kennedy aficionada. And now that has spiraled this whole love for her of like
Hmm.
American first ladies. So she's
Right.
teaching me things. So I think we should do the Kennedy Library.
So
That would be
maybe one of your next books will be a first lady.
maybe. Yeah. No, I'm very so what I like to do is shine a spotlight on women whose names are not as well known.
Right.
And
Okay.
so lift up these voices that have largely been lost. And so it would have to be one, if I feel that it's been well done and I've had the chance to read historical fiction about it already, I don't feel the need to do it. Like Stephanie Dray and Laura Kemoy are publishing a beautiful
Right.
historic novel about Abigail Adams in May. And I love it. And like they did it so well. They did it so beautifully.
Yeah. I
But if
proposed
someone,
that one to my
yeah,
boss. I wanted to do it as a book discussion.
there's a lot of New York in it because
Uh-huh.
members of the Adams family definitely spend some meaningful time in New York. So I
Yeah.
would endorse that.
Yeah.
Yes. But so if it's already been done, I don't feel the need to do it. Where
Okay.
I feel the need to do it is when it's a woman like Evelyn or Marjorie Post or Margaret Fuller, where we don't know their
Yeah.
names.
Margaret Fuller, I never had heard of.
Yes. Margaret Fuller is another one with a lot of New York history too.
Yeah.
She spent such meaningful time in New York with Horace Greeley and Edgar Allan Poe and
Hmm.
Walt Whitman, and she covered Frederick Douglass. Yeah, yeah. I love that, history is just it gives us the best raw material for great dramas.
Do you have a list going or
Oh, I
just,
do. I have a list on my phone of like revisit, look
yeah.
into, do some research and see. And then when I land on my story, I know because I say to my husband, I've been bitten. I've been bitten. Like the story has gotten its teeth in me, and I just need to tell the story. And I know that I'm going to be so obsessed until I do this that I know that I've met my next leading lady and I have met my next book.
So you said it took 6 years to write this book.
Yes, because I was researching it during COVID. I so distinctly remember being hard at work on it during the lockdown.
Yeah, but you had other books that came out. Were you writing simultaneously the other
Always.
ones
I've
or?
always got like an assembly line going. So
Oh,
during that
wow.
time, yeah, during that time, I had The Queen's Fortune come out in February of 20, and right before COVID. And then Marjorie Post came out in 22. Margaret Fuller came out in 24. I had two children's books, Poppy Takes Paris and Nellie Takes New York. And then now It Girl is my brand new latest, The Life of Evelyn Nesbit.
Do you enjoy writing children's books as much as you like writing the
Oh, I love
historical
it.
fiction?
It's so different. It's so different because, first of all, it's to say that it's fewer words is like a comical understatement, but
Right.
it's fewer pages. It's the economy of words is at a totally different level. But also, like 50% of the story is your illustrations.
Hmm.
And I'm not the illustrator. So I've worked with amazing artists for illustration. And so that's a fun exercise. Like what I wrote for the first children's book had to be cut in half because it was like half of this can be told by the pictures.
Okay.
So it's just a different exercise. I love it. And I have three little girls.
Okay.
So when I write children's books, it aligns so nicely with my life because they can come to the readings and they can take part in the process. And I read them the children's books and they can read them with their friends. And so they're not quite reading It Girl yet.
Right.
Soon, but not yet. So the children's books are nice too.
Wow. What is your writing process like?
So I'm a morning person for sure. I wake up in the morning, I get the girls off to school, and then I get home and I've got the coffee. I light my candle. I always have a candle. It's like a Pavlovian response. It's like when I put on my classical music, I pour myself a cup of coffee and I light my candle. It's like I know it's time to sit down and get serious about my writing. And so then I try to write through at least until lunchtime, chunk of solid hours there. And then I'll take a little break around lunchtime and then maybe write a little more in the afternoon, or maybe use the afternoon to tackle admin, emails, social media.
Hmm.
But if I'm on deadline, obviously I have to write all the way through. And then I get the girls from school and we have after school activities. And I have an amazing nanny and my husband. And so we tag team sort of if I'm taking them or if they're taking them, and if I'm working more or if I'm in full mom mode for the afternoon.
Did you always want to be an author? Was that something, were you writing
I
as a
always wanted
kid?
to be a writer. I always wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write for news, and I did
Okay.
write for news. And that was my first job was for years. I was a news producer. But then I'd come home and I would write fiction in my free time, in the evenings, on the weekends, on my vacations. And when I had two completed manuscripts on my computer, two written books on my computer, I realized I do want to be a writer, but I think I want to do this kind of writing, fiction, novels, rather than news. And I was a misfit in the news industry. I didn't like the 24-hour news cycle and the brevity of the pieces since I was writing for live TV. It's quick. You're writing sentence fragments, you're writing short, pithy, snappy things that are getting repurposed almost on an hourly basis to feed the 24-hour news cycle. And I really wanted to live in the world of novels and history. And, I read a novel, I'm totally absorbed in it for months at a time in a very, very deep way while I'm writing my first
Mhm.
draft or while I'm editing. And I love that process. And I love the ability to go in depth. It still has the investigative curiosity of a news writer, writing fiction, but I'm investigating these women and their lives. And I love doing that. And so I just feel like it's the old adage where if you find what you love to do, you don't work a day in your life. I really love what I do. And I'm very thankful I get to do it. And I'm thankful to librarians like you and readers and booksellers who support my work and allow me to continue to do it. So if you keep supporting my work, I'll keep doing it.
You read your reviews?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. I can say that I don't get too attached to my reviews. I'm thrilled. Evelyn Nesbit and It Girl is just crushing it on the reviews right now. I'm
Yeah,
so pleasantly
Goodreads,
surprised. Yeah,
4.13.
you never know. You really never know.
Yeah.
You just don't know what to expect. And so the fact that It Girl is soaring so high with reviewers right now, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's great, obviously, and that helps and that's important, but it's also so subjective. So I have that ability to understand that if my book is not for someone, that's their opinion. They are
Right.
entitled to that, and it is so subjective. There have been books that have been like the number one book in the country that everyone loves, that I've read it and it just hasn't resonated for me. And
Right.
that's just it's where you are, what you're bringing to the book, where you are in that moment when you're reading the book. It
Yeah.
all goes into that. And so I'll look every now and then, but I'm not one of those authors that is like aware that a new review has posted, and if it's a bad one, it's going to tank my whole day.
Right.
I'm just not going to allow, I think, my ego to get that closely attached to the whims of that feedback.
Well, as librarians, the way we purchase our books is we go through the journals, the literary journals, and
Yes.
go by the reviews. But like as we're reading it, it's just like it's one person
It's one
that's
person.
reviewing it. And they could
Yeah.
have had a bad day the day they
Yeah.
reviewed that book. And even though
Yeah.
they gave it a bad review, that
Yes.
doesn't mean it's not going to appeal to our audience here.
It's very true. And so here's where the reviews really matter. The reviews are the bellwether of reader satisfaction. ultimately, the success of a book is going to come down to readers engaging with it, connecting with it, spreading the organic word of mouth, and a positive reader feedback, and experience with the book is going to lead to the longevity of the book's life. Marjorie Post is still connecting with readers,
Hmm.
and it's because it has that really great word of mouth. And that is so important with book clubs and reviews and people sharing it. And so the reviews matter in that they are an indication of how satisfied your readers are. And I want my readers to have a positive experience when they read my book, where it's a whole experience, it's immersive, it's transportive. They learned something, they felt something, they were moved, and hopefully they were inspired. And hopefully that means that they will come back for my next book.
Right. I did the book discussion on Marjorie Post. Because
Yay.
we just love the book here, and everybody in the group loved it. I mean, it's a great book. There's so much to talk about, and it's so relevant just knowing that it took place here on Long Island, and
Exactly.
the cereal. We all know the cereal,
Exactly. If you have a
So
fridge in your house, then you
yeah,
have Marjorie to thank.
right. Yeah, no, it's a fabulous book. It should
Thank you.
live forever in book
Thank
clubs.
you.
So
Thank you. Well, hopefully the same will happen with It Girl. I
I
feel
hope
good.
so. I
I feel
absolutely
like
hope
it's
so.
getting good momentum.
Yes, no, it's really fabulous. So has Taylor Swift contacted you?
I'm waiting. I might have missed her call while we were talking, but it's gonna happen. I'm putting it out there into the universe.
Yeah,
She
no.
said in
Well,
The Fate of Ophelia, I heard you calling on the megaphone. She's obviously talking about Travis Kelce, but I'm gonna do the like book equivalent of I'm putting it out there on your podcast. I'm calling on the megaphone that I would like to get my book into her hands.
right, because she's the showgirl. We
I
know
think
that.
she'd
Yeah.
like it. They're
Yeah,
from
no, I
Pennsylvania.
know she listens to a lot of books.
Yes,
I've
I
heard her
believe
say
that.
that. She's a big audio
Well,
book
I
person.
obviously I watched her documentary and I saw
Hmm.
her sitting in the dressing room doing a book on tape.
Right, right. So you got to
So
send her the book on tape. That's all.
yeah, and she has this amazing homage to her grandmother Marjorie. So I was like, I gotta
Oh.
get Marjorie.
Hmm.
And I think she and Evelyn, It Girl, would have so much in common.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see her listening to it and then talking about it on whatever social media she's doing. I don't even.
So we're putting it out there. If anyone knows how to get It Girl into
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's hands, we're
Yeah.
all ears.
That's
Let
great. We
Evelyn know.
unfortunately I have no contact in that whatsoever, so I'm sorry. I can't help you. But I
We're
could
putting it out there.
all I could do is put it into the hands of our readers,
And that is
which is
the
what I
most
do. I have to say that is my superpower.
that well, for that I give you super thanks. That
Yeah,
is your
I get it
superpower.
into our readers' hands. So I
The librarians are the superheroes.
yeah, I will be
Absolutely.
recommending it all the time. And hopefully I'll be able to do it as a book discussion. We
Yes.
usually wait until it's coming out in paperback, which will be a
Okay.
while since it just came out,
Okay.
so that we
Yeah.
can have plenty of copies available for all of our patrons. So,
I love it.
but I definitely will. I will definitely be putting it on the list of books I want to do as a book discussion. So,
Thank
as
you.
well as all of your books, because I love the way you write. It's just so
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you so
It
much.
really
Thank
is.
you.
It's so nice, and I love the audiobooks. Did you listen to the audiobook of The It Girl? Have you
I
heard
love
it?
Barry Krynick.
Yeah,
Yes.
she did a
Yes.
great job.
I'm really also, for a long time I was like strictly a hard copy reader, but now I'm really, really into audiobooks as well.
Hmm.
So I do both. I've
Yeah,
always
no,
got one going on audio and one going on my
me
nightstand.
too. But I
Mhm.
also try to have the copy of the book in print and the audio.
Yes.
So, when I'm in
Same.
my car listening and I don't want to get out, I'm like, okay, I really need the print book so I can continue in the house. So,
I agree. I
yeah,
totally agree. Or like I'm like, I want to see how that name is spelled. Or
right.
I
Exactly.
want to revisit that. Like I'm reading Ron Chernow on audiobook, and he has a truly incredible vocabulary. So there are a few words where I'm like, I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite authors?
Oh, I love Stephanie Dre, who I mentioned, founding mother
Hmm.
coming up. I love Fiona Davis. I love Marie
Okay.
Benedict. I love Ron Chernow.
Hmm.
I read everything. I love historical fiction. I love biography. I love memoir. I read a lot of children's books these days. So, oh yeah, everything.
Yeah. You have time to read?
Oh, for me, it's like, do you have time to eat food? Like, there's
Okay.
never a world in which I wouldn't have time to read, the
Okay,
same way
good.
I wouldn't ever not have enough time to like drink a cup of water. You know,
Yeah,
I can't do my life if without reading.
right. I've talked to some authors who they don't want to, like you write historical fiction, so they don't want to read historical fiction, but you seem to like to read that also, even though you
I
write it.
like to read things that for me are aspirational, that inspire me to be my best. You know, like I want to read really smart historical fiction because it's like
Hmm.
you are what you eat. For me, it's you are what you read. So if I'm reading something that's really kind of like an elevated, beautiful historical fiction, that's where my mind is going. If I'm reading something that's like not of that caliber, then that's where my mind is going. So I want to be like looking in the direction that I'm trying to go.
Okay, sounds good. So what are you working on now?
My next woman is going to be an American, also in the 20th century. We're coming a little forward in time this time to mid-century, mid 20th. I guarantee you know her name, but I would venture to guess that you do not know the extent of her legacy and how she impacted all of our lives.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I can share it very soon.
Okay, good. I look forward to hearing all about
So
it.
another reason for all of your listeners to follow me on Instagram and Facebook is because that's where I'm going to share that first.
Okay, I will be looking forward to seeing that and listening to you. And
Thank you.
I wish you well on the rest of your tour also.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And I would just put out there that, you know, to all of your readers, thank you for reading. And if you have time to spread the word, share to your readers, your book clubs, post a review on social media or on Goodreads or on any, bookseller, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookshop.org, wherever. It all matters so much. And we're all, in this ecosystem of books and readers and writers together. And so I appreciate it all so much, and it really matters. It makes a difference.
Oh, thank you. That is so nice of you. So,
Thank you.
Allison, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you
So, the
so
book
much.
you're writing now, it's not another 6 years, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be my next one because I'm fired up. It's the first time I just was flying a bunch last week for tour.
Hmm.
I was like in a different state every day. It's the first time I've ever brought my laptop to work on my work in progress because typically I'm in such a different brain space that I can't even think about writing. But on this one, I'm so obsessed and it's so all consuming to me that I was like, I can't take a few days off. Even though I'm on tour, I'm going to have plane rides. I need to be writing on the plane. So I think it's going to be coming soon. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll look
Yeah,
forward to that. And hopefully we can speak again.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Thank you so much, Allison. It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you.
speaking with you.
Thank you.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.